Hello everybody, I'm Vince Holton and welcome to another interview for DECT Today magazine and the DECT Forum YouTube channel. Today I'm talking to Frans Kanters, CEO of Pager Services, a Dutch company. Frans, if I'm honest, we've not heard a lot about the pager marketplace for quite a long time. Let's kick off by you telling us the background to your company.
Okay, thank you for the invitation. So Pager Services is a small Dutch company started about 25 years ago. And back then it started as a repair center for Philips. Philips had a division of paging back then. So after a few years, the paging division was sold to Bosch, and later it was sold to the Dutch Atos. And we kept on doing all the repairs for all companies. In 2015, we also started to do some assembly work of the pagers for Atos. And in 2017, all the activities related to paging were bought by us from Atos. So from that moment on, we had all the rights of the brand, all the designs, and we also started to do our own developments back then. So 2017 was also the point that I joined the company. Previously, I had some other businesses.
Okay, right. Well, then help us understand the current market for pagers, what it looks like, and just how big is it?
So in paging, we have two main markets. So one is personal security, and that is basically if someone is in need, and mostly it's life-threatening situations, they can press an alarm button, and colleagues are automatically called with another pager, sending the location in real time so they can help the person who is in need. The other one is silent evacuation systems. So imagine you have a fire, but you have a building with people that cannot go outside on their own. So for example, in hospitals, but also sometimes in prisons, for example, people cannot just go outside themselves, and then silent alarm systems are used to help the people out. So these are the two main markets. And we estimate the market size in Europe approximately 50 million per year.
Okay, still fairly substantial.
It's much larger than most people think.
I would agree, yes, absolutely. And what type of clients is your company addressing?
So for the personal security, our currently main markets are prisons and mental institutions. So we do have some healthcare and industry, but that's more the evacuation business.
I guess that the personal use of pagers has kind of died off, has it?
Yeah. So we did a lot in hospitals to call doctors, for example, and we have seen that quite a share in that business is taken by mobile phones nowadays.
Of course.
But we see a turning point. So a lot of companies were trying to replace pages by mobile phones, and some succeeded in that. But we also see a lot turning back to paging. It has to do, for example, with the battery life. So it's quite difficult to be sure that the battery lasts long enough for 2 shifts on mobile phones. And also because it's very critical in life-threatening situations, the reliability of paging is higher than usually in mobile phone markets, where it's harder to have 100% continuous connection.
Okay. So we've established that you still have a fairly solid market. What's the biggest challenges the pager companies are facing today?
So there are a few challenges. So it's a very conservative market that I noticed. So we had all kind of ideas introducing new technology, but we noticed that it's very difficult to do so. One of the reasons is that everyone demands 20 years of service. And that's nowadays with the current IC market, it's quite complex. So the support is one of the things that is a struggle. So we have some very old products that we still service, but it's very hard to get all the components. So what we need to do is to shift the market a bit from replacing and repairing exactly the old equipment to have equipment that is functional the same, but may have different internals. So that's also why we introduce some new technologies, but only in small steps, so that the changes for the customer are not too large.
Okay, understood. And how have the solutions changed? In other words, has the form factor for pages changed? What are they like today? And which wireless technologies are they using?
Well, the funny thing is that they, at least in most of the conservative markets, so the prisons and the mental health care, they don't want to change the form factor at all.
Okay.
So they want to keep it the size it is. In general, we use VHF or UHF communication technology, which is very robust. You can get to large distances. The penetration through walls is quite good. Sorry. So that's an advantage of that technology. The drawback is that you need a license, which is sometimes difficult. And also the antenna is quite large. So it's while it works for the prison market, it's difficult for us to go to the less secure markets. So for example, the home care, etc., could benefit from some kind of alarming device where you can press an alarm button and say, okay, I need some help. Right. But our current devices are not suitable for that. And I think the DECT NR Plus would be ideal also for us to address those markets a bit more.
Well, thank you for bringing us on to DECT NR Plus. Why is it attractive to your company, and what do you think its unique selling points are?
So one of the things is that you don't need a separate license to use the frequency. That's a big plus for us to go into the lower secure markets. So for the high secure markets, the prisons, etc., it's quite easy to obtain a license for a frequency. But if you go, for example, to schools, it's much more difficult to get a license. Right. And for those situations, I think it's better to have a DECT NR Plus type system where we have this license problem. We don't have this license problem. Another thing that attracts us is the fact that it's much more scalable than our current solution. So we are kind of limited with the UHF, also due to the low speed that we get. Right. So the advantage is very high range, but the speed we have is very limited. And with the DECT NR Plus, you have much more control over, you want to have lower speed, higher range, or the other way around, higher speed, lower range. It's much more flexible in that sense. And also there's much more built into the MAC layers than we have in our UHF systems.
So do you think for these reasons that NR Plus could become the de facto or optimum standard for pager devices? I know that's a big question. And in that consideration, what's the main competition it's facing?
I think that for the next few years at least, UHF will stay where it is now and will be used for the high-end, high-security systems. What we do plan to do is to make some kind of hybrid systems where we have both UHF and DECT NR Plus. We also plan to build smaller devices based on DECT NR Plus for the lower security markets. And we even plan to introduce it into the hospitals again as a replacement or an addition to mobile phones, which is much more compact and easier to use and have a guaranteed battery life. So I don't think in the near future it will replace the current standards,
Okay.
but I think it more as an addition to the current standards. And for us, an ability to enter new markets that are not available with the robust, large size, bulky pages we have now.
Well, the DECT Forum is always looking to optimize for all of the applications for its technologies. What would Pager Services like to see added to NR Plus so that it becomes more useful to you?
Yeah. I think that for us, even better integration to LTE communication would be very beneficial. So we have a number of customers that have large terrains outside.
Mm-hmm.
And to cover that, you need multiple transmitters and antennas. Some customers have different facilities in a single city. And they would like to walk from one place to another and still have some basic security. So for our customers, it would be very beneficial if there is more seamless integration between LTE-based systems and the DECT NR+. And since it's related technology, you have the Nordic chipset that can do both LTE and DECT NR+, but it cannot do it simultaneously.
Right.
It would be great if there would be a better integration, so you can either choose within one chipset, either choose now I want to send something over LTE and want to receive over LTE, and now I'm in a local network, so I can see my DECT NR+ network, so I can use local communication. That would be the most ideal situation, I guess.
Well, I can't guarantee that they can do it, but I'm sure there are people from Nordic Semiconductor who will be listening to this and will hear that request from you. So, okay, that's what could and should and would be good to happen from the technical side. But as the DECT Forum, what can we do to best support Pager Services and, in fact, the wider Pager market?
I think one of the most important things is that DECT NR+ is not yet known by a lot of people. And I think to keep promoting the technology, I think would help us to have a better introduction in the market. Plus also what you're currently also doing is bringing different companies in contact that are developing on the DECT NR+. So together you can develop faster and you can learn from each other. And I think these things will help tremendously to earlier reach the market with products. So I think those two things, bringing people in contact with each other and promoting the technology are most important.
So we need to make more noise and encourage more collaboration. Yeah?
Yeah, exactly, exactly.
Well, we've got a big event coming up shortly in the DECT World events. I hope I'll be able to meet up with you there. But for now, that's been really, really interesting. It's great to hear something about the Pager marketplace, Frans. Thank you for your time today, and I look forward to us chatting again in the future.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you for the invitation.